Bloomfield, Rodham at the Bloomfield Hotel. We're going up to Rowley's because today I'm going to interview Tim Fielding, ex-chair of BST. Oh, good morning. I've got a meeting this morning with Tim Fielding.
You'll find him. I think he's helping selling tickets today in the ticket office.
Hi Sarah, I've been sent down from Rowley's and say that Tim's been helping tickets this morning. Is he about?
He was, but I think he's out in the ground helping the groundsman now.
Darn it, I think I've just missed him. I was here earlier. I wonder where he is now. Maybe I'll just find him in Rowley's. Maybe he's back in here. Let's go and have a look. Hi, morning folks. I'm here this morning at Rowley's with Tim Fielding. Say hello, Tim.
Morning.
Morning. So we're here with thank you, coffee. Now, obviously, guys, I'm going to be obviously asking all the in-depth questions of Tim. We want to know everything about Tim, don't we? So, starting off, Tim, before we do anything, I've got to ask you about this money that you paid to the Oystons. There's lots of rumours on the internet about how much it was. I had the impression it was around about £20,000 you paid for what you said on the internet.
Yeah, that's what it cost at the end of the day. There was two parts to it. First of all, which not a lot many people know, there was a period of about 6 months where we were in what we call protocol correspondence, which is just before the court proceedings were issued. And during that period, I was legally represented by a third-party company.
Right.
So I had quite substantial fees I had to pay to them. And in addition, when it finally came out what they actually wanted for settlement, which wasn't known at the beginning, I thought we're dealing with significantly higher numbers. I had to pay them £10,000 and stand down as the chair of BST as part of the deal.
Right. So it was even more than that then. Well, it was quite a big deal. So, right, I'm a layperson, just a Blackpool fan, don't know anything about law. You're a solicitor, you know everything. Now, from what I saw, what you said, what was it you actually said about the Oystons?
There was two things essentially. One which was sort of right back in my social media history, which they'd gone delving for. Was a few references to the asset strip in the football club, and then separately there was a one-off reference in one post on AVFTT to the misappropriation of football-generated assets.
Right.
Really pretty much referring to the Travelodge and the position in relation to the loans.
Okay, so then, as every Blackpool fan has been following it all the way through, the Oystons go to court with Valerie Bellicon, and the judge gives a ruling, and he rules that the Oystons have illegitimately asset stripped Blackpool Football Club. That to me, as a normal fan, sounds like what you said. Is that right?
Very close. It's just a different way of putting the words together for essentially saying the same thing, because the main concerns going back to 2013, 2014, when this all really started to come to light, was the fact that the football club was making interest-free loans out to other Oyston companies.
Yes.
And when I felt, and a lot of other people felt, that it should be spent on the training ground, on players, on the pitch, which is what the parachute payments were for.
Which every Blackpool fan, would agree. We'd agree with Tim, wouldn't we?
Yeah, the Premiership legacy, as we all referred to it.
Yeah.
So I mean that was all fairly instrumental in the setting up of CISA, and then as we move forward in relation to the creation of BST as well. So it all sort of dovetailed, and the comments I made were mainly when I was chairing CISA actually, before BST.
Wow, it goes back that far.
Yeah.
I don't know if any other Blackpool fans felt the same way as me, but I actually wanted the judge at the end of everything to have a sort of like a Columbo moment and just go, oh, just one more thing, Valerie. I've actually put in all those costs, I've added an extra £40,000 in there to pay Tim when you get your money. So you're going to have lots of money, Valerie. So when you got your 35 million, that's what I thought he was going to say. But he didn't, did he?
No.
I can't believe he didn't say that. Well, okay. So
listen, on that day, the 2 days in the court case that really stood out, and it was a fascinating period to be a Blackpool fan. I mean, particularly when you're a lawyer, but it almost became amazing how many Blackpool fans almost became like pseudo lawyers themselves, didn't they?
They did.
We know more about the law than we do about the team that's playing on the pitch.
We did at that time. Yeah, we're all reading Basil Robbie's. He's.
But the two days that stood out really, obviously, were the day when the judgment was handed down, when it was really, it felt like a Wembley playoff win. It was that good, and on the trip back was just one big party.
Yeah, you felt like you'd won the whole thing. Actually.
Yeah, and I did take a huge amount of satisfaction when I read the judgment and I saw what exactly had been said on the specific issue that had been so traumatic for me over such a lengthy period of time. But then, the day in court when the receiver was appointed, because it was touch and go quite a bit, as I've said when I've spoken to the village when we had everybody turn up that day. Yeah. It was touch and go, and it was quite an emotional moment. I looked over to Christine; she was welling up. Yeah, and I got some grit in my eye. I've got that bit of grit,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's very emotional. I think we've all been emotional with you. Yeah. The whole thing's been so stressful. So now, obviously, that's all out of the way. Okay, so we're moving forward now, and you're on the directors. You're actually on the directors at the football club as a fans
representative. It's
is that like £1 million a year or anything like that?
In my dreams.
In your dream. Well, yeah. Okay. So is this like an unpaid?
It's what they call it. It's a non-executive position. So technically, you can claim your expenses back. Not that I have, but
you should do. All the MPs are.
Yeah, well, but it's myself and Ian Curry are non-executive, which basically means that we're non-salaried. Yeah. And then Ben's obviously here full time, so he's in a slightly different position than us. Obviously, it's his day job.
How are you enjoying it so far now, being sort of a director behind it all? Does it feel good?
It's fascinating, but it also actually you feel like a little bit of weight of responsibility on your shoulders as well, because everybody's been waiting so long for this to come about. For virtually 4 years for most, and a little longer for some others. And I find myself on match day feeling like I can't sit still, because I feel like I need to be take Saturday. I start off in the lounge. Yeah. Do a little bit of a bit of chat with people in there. Just walk around the tables and see how things are going. Is the service good? What's going on? And then I tend to wander across here, or did most certainly this Saturday, into Rowley's, and there's always quite a few Blackpool fans up here pre-match, so come and have a chat with them. Then went over to the Excelsior and had a chat with the guys over there, and then back to the concourses for 2:30, which I think is when I saw you just after 2:30, and check how the kiosks are going, check how the new bottle bars are going.
These bottle bars, they sold out, didn't they?
It was a bit disappointing.
People were already moaning about the fact we run out of beer.
Not as much as I was.
So you couldn't get one?
No, I couldn't get one. It was clearly working, because the positive is we sold enough that we'd sold out just after half time, but it was a bit frustrating that there wasn't the spare stock there. Down in the West, it seemed they were still stocked at half time, and it seemed to be working better there. Possibly because of the way the kiosks are lined up as well. They've got those snaking kiosks there, which they haven't got in the...
Yeah, it's a straight line.
It's a straight line.
Maybe that needs changing.
It's whether we can and how much room we've got to work with. But obviously, having lost the Seasiders bar, which took all that pressure off the kiosks when we used to have that in the south, obviously that's now...
Is that going to go back, do you think, next season? Are you going to put that back as a bar and move the ticket office people? Seem to say that's a good idea.
It might. There's one for the new owner, that I think, because the slight issue we've got is the area where the ticket office and the original club shop used to be in the north, the northwest corner, is earmarked for development for the community trust, and there's a grant already in place. They've already had plans passed. In fact, the work's just about to start. Right. So logistically, that's not going to work. Okay. But there's obviously a lot of spare space in the stadium, and it might well be we can look at reconfigurating. But I think really it's likely
it's going to stay there for now.
It's going to be new owners.
People were having like christenings and all sorts of things in that Seasiders bar. Before it all went, not.
But we've got up here, which is an option. We've got the lounge, we've got the 53 suite. So there are options there, and I know Andy Grice and Rob, who are dealing with the sales on the corporate side, have taken in the last week have taken a wedding and a very large christening from people I know to be Blackpool fans, and that's hopefully what we're going to see a lot more of moving forward. That people are actually going to use this facility, use the hotel for what it was originally built for. I mean, now most of us are always pretty reluctant to give anyone to the Oystons.
Well, you wouldn't give anything,
No.
at all. But I've said in a lot of my videos, there's a sea change the other way around now.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to. I mean, I noticed on Saturday that there's loads more advertising boards going around the ground. Just around the side of the pitch.
I think there was 12 new ones on Saturday.
Wow.
So
You see what I mean?
it was Links who'd done the big sign up there,
Right.
or most certainly have been involved in doing some signage. They tweeted something about there being 12 ones. I noticed BST have got one down there
down
somewhere.
in the corner.
And
the guys from BST have been out cleaning all the rubbish again, aren't they, in the morning?
Yeah, I saw some Facebook post yesterday from them saying that they've been down again, which is it's great initiative in the short term, and obviously long term the club's got to get that sorted and get the staff in. But while the staffing levels are what they are,
Right.
I also think a lot of people actually want to do it.
They wouldn't want to do it before. They wouldn't want to.
Well, they want. I think it's a feeling of reconnecting with the football club.
I think it's fantastic.
And there was a symbolism in cleaning those seats. I know you did a lot of it.
Yeah.
I didn't because I was in here.
Yeah.
Crisis managing everything that was going on, but. There was a symbolism, wasn't there, about washing away the dirt and the stains.
I felt that, just get rid of all that. The bird droppings and everything. That's called the wrong word, but anyway, bird poop.
Yeah.
But yes, it was fantastic. So people keep saying about the pitch that it's going to probably be dug up in the summer because a lot of it's built on concrete and.
It's that southwest corner seems to be obviously we can all have seen on this Saturdays is particularly the difficult bit, and it just seems to.
So is that going to be done whatever, or is that going to be down to new owners?
No, I think we're committed to doing something.
Yeah.
The question is at the moment what I know that there was we've already approached a pitch consultant. I think it's something Michael Bolingbroke in particular seems to be very passionate about.
Right.
And he and Ben have taken the lead on. So I'm less up to speed as regards where that's up to.
Yeah, because I think it hampers the players. I think
massively. I mean, we saw
people
that
say
Saturday.
it's the same pitch for both teams, but I think when you're playing on that pitch all the time and you've slipped on it and you've done this and that on it and it's bobbled and all the, you haven't, if you're playing on it a lot, you think, guys, it's going to bobble. Am I going to slip here? And they have that sort of almost like a fear of it. That they're not playing as well as they could. They think, we've got to keep, lumping eyeballs because we can't do a low pass, and I think it hampers the team. So I think when the pitch gets done, I think we'll definitely move
I've not
on.
checked the stats, but if you compare our home record with away record, even and we may be thought it's partially down to the fact that there's not many fans been in the stadium, but the reality is during the period when we've all been back, the better performances so far have been away from home, which is a little bit disappointing because when you've got the numbers here, you want
to win.
And I went to Bradford and there was you've got to put it in the context of Bradford aren't a great side, but you wanted to see the Sky coverage and the Quest coverage to see what great goals we scored, and they weren't tap-ins, they weren't mistakes by them. They were great goals, and we had a pretty decent, for the large part, performance at Accrington as well. So
second half was awesome at Accrington. It was like, honestly, they were like Real Madrid coming at you. Balls, wasn't it? It was really exciting that second half.
And certainly would have liked to have seen some of that here because at the end of the day, it's your home attendances put bums on seats, and luckily we've had 3 draws and not 2 defeats.
Were you still in for the Curtis Tilt goal? Did you see it?
Yeah, well,
I arrived early.
I was right. No, definitely not. I've never quite understood that league.
No, I don't know.
I was right behind the south with my youngest lad, and just
went crazy.
I couldn't believe, I think it was 82nd, 83rd minute when Bowler got the first one back.
Yeah,
and up to that point, you couldn't see any way back, could you?
No, you couldn't see a goal scoring.
I was quite impressed with them, to be fair. I thought they harried us off. When we were in possession, we seemed to have no time whatsoever.
They were on us.
That was part of the tactics. It was almost like that Barcelona way of playing when they hadn't got the ball, where they literally swarmed around you.
They did.
So
we'll take a draw at the end.
You've got to take. It felt like getting 3 points again, actually, like Southend, didn't it? Really, because of the timing of it.
So, is there anything else that you're doing that you'd like to tell the fans about behind the scenes that that you do at the moment? Is there anything sorting out? I think you mentioned the screen. Yeah,
we're hoping to have a new screen in place before the end of the season. I mean, I think. For me, again, it's one of those bugbears, and whilst, to be honest, when we were here, I think for the most part it was working before the boycott started. I can't remember exactly whether it was working towards the end or not now, to be honest. But the fact that you haven't got a working scoreboard is a big issue. So we we did our best. We spent a few quid getting it working, but it's limited functionalities. We've seen all it can really show is the score and the clock. And,
it used to show who scored and everything, didn't it?
And the bottom.
It's missing,
the bottom third's missing, and that's basically because they can only push the functionality to the top, so it limits what you can do graphics wise.
Right.
So we're looking at getting that sorted, and we're hoping you know that everybody will see some development of that before the end of the season. Because I think it's part of what I consider to be a functioning football club these days. It's the way of, you know.
It almost feels like a big club, doesn't it?
Telling people what we do, and you know, obviously. We've got season tickets to think about, and it's a great way of passing the message on in relation to that. So we had some discussions about that right at the beginning. The first couple of weeks, I was in here a lot. I was in here pretty much every day. In fact, I think I was in here every day, and sort of took some holiday time off. So some days I was here all day. Wow. Other days I was in for 4 or 5 hours. Rarely was in less than that. And then after the first couple of weeks, it settled down a bit. So I'm in today. After we've had our chat, we have a weekly management meeting between myself, Ben, and Ian Curry, who's the other non-executive director. Right. Michael Bolingbroke would also normally be here, but he's on holiday this week. Okay. So and we basically project manage everything that needs sorting out, where we're up to, where we're going, and introduce new items as we go along. So. Right. There's a lot to talk about as always, so I tend to be in most Monday afternoons, unless there's a reason not to, and then it's almost like an as and when needed from there. So because I only work around the corner, I can be quite flexible. Good. As long as I get a few days' notice as regards what time I need to put out my diary, and then it's just a case of doing the plate spinning, keeping my day job functioning. Because I've got a full-time job to do there. In fact, yesterday was the first day I've had off for. Other than like when Blackpool have been playing. So if it's a Saturday away at Burton, obviously I'm gone there. Yeah. But other than that, I haven't had a day off since the second week in Feb. Wow. But that's the way. But it needs doing, and I think when you were given an opportunity to have somebody representing you on the board and actually hopefully making some having some meaningful input, you can't pass up that opportunity, and I don't want to do that. And so when the opportunity presented itself, and to be honest, the discussion was, should it be myself or Christine? Yeah. Christine was the one who said it should be you. Yeah. And I think that was the right call, because it allows her to keep her independence as the BST chair. Yeah. So because there's a lot. Plus, you're working with her all the time. Yeah. Well, we speak to each other. In fact, driving down here, spoke to Steve Rowland about one of the initiatives we're hoping to get going next week, which Terry Phillips has actually come up with, which is his Easter holidays. So he's talked about inviting any young seasiders in, families in, to watch the team train. Oh wow! So BST, the suggestion was made to Christine. So BST will just start chasing up. What, to come in and watch them train? Yeah, come watch them train one day next week. Don't know which day it's going to be yet. Yeah. And obviously I have to fit in with the team's plans, but. It's a way of reconnecting particularly these young fans who've missed out. We've got to win their hearts and minds, haven't we? I think we have, and that's little issue. And you know, Terry buys into that, I think. And you know, I think he's doing a great job. I think where they are, this team, for what they've had, the money, and the no players bought for millions and all that. I think they're doing an amazing job. And Terry's only like a new manager, isn't he? Yeah. An assistant manager, so. Yeah, so he's on a steep learning curve himself, and him and the players have had to deal with an extraordinarily difficult situation. Sure. But I think we're seeing from the reaction at the end of the games and when they score how much they're enjoying. Tilt with his. In fact, I don't know if you've seen have you seen Curtis Tilt's tweet? That he sat Sunday morning watching that goal, because we must have had a camera up above, didn't we? Right, I don't must have maybe Quest put one up there. I think it's on the balcony, but it's from that side, so you see the move, you hear the crowd all cheering, then you see the move come over, and you see that the overhead kick go. I mean, it just goes in like a rocket, the whole thing. And when I watch that video, it actually do feel like it's like watching like a Man United goal away, because the roar, when it goes in, which they won't have had. You know what I mean? They must be. As a player, you must be thinking, "Oh my God!" I didn't come down off it for a few hours. You know what I mean? From a player's perspective, you feed off that energy, don't you? Yeah, and, I think so. It was interesting that we're roaring them. How we roar them in. That South Stand, we're roaring them at the end. Did you hear the Plymouth manager in the Argyle News or whatever it is, their version of the Gazette, had basically said that the fans were sucking the ball into the net in the second half,
which is what we always did.
Yeah,
which is what we always did. That's how we got in the Premier League. For me,
so
we sucked it in.
We're looking at a few initiatives really to build on that, because I think that the particularly in the north there's been a fantastic atmosphere created, and with effect from Fleetwood, the north is reverted to home support, so it's not going to be split. I mean, the club's decision to move fans into the north was basically the ground was empty and there was no need to have them in the east.
Well put them on.
But
there has been a few. There has been a few rumours, a view from the tower, that there's a bit of trouble outside, because I think when you've got everybody coming out on that north end, both sets of fans, if you have got a lot of away fans who are up for a bit of argy-bargy, then it's a bit of a
fact,
recipe for
when
disaster.
we were in here on Wednesday night, we had the fans forum. We invited the police liaison officers along, and they had those concerns.
Yes.
They said, look, if you moving forward, if there's going to be Blackpool fans in the north, which obviously is what we want, they didn't want it continue to be split long term because of those there's flashpoints, and
absolutely.
but it's easier to manage if they go into the east, be that in the south part of the east, which I think we're going to see for the last two games of the season.
Right. Because there's no problem with the east, is there? Because we filled it for homecoming day, so there's no safety issues or anything with it. It can be used.
No, there's no. The problem we've got, I suppose, in the north is the facilities in the north part of the east are very, very basic. So if we're going to put the away fans in there, it's on the basis we're going to have to deal with the issue of toilet facilities and refreshment facilities, which have been managed through porter cabins and mobile kiosks, which, to be honest, isn't ideal, and I don't think maximises the income you can get off that.
Are they separated? Because obviously I'm in the south stand, but are the facilities separated? They blocked off Blackpool and
underneath the north. Yes.
Behind, yes, they are.
Yeah, they are.
So they could they not effectively use those facilities on that? No, you couldn't do it, could you?
No, I don't.
You can't,
and also, we want, if you're going to have the whole stand, you want all those facilities for Blackpool fans anyway.
Yeah,
so I think what we've got to look at as a board is it feasible? Because if we take the north for purely home fans, and we put the away fans in the south, we have a problem down here, which obviously anybody's watching this.
They can just wander, can't
well, what we'll have to do is to block off some of these seats here, because that will be their entrance, and so you can't have home fans directly above the entrance.
No.
So, and it's a point that was made at the forum that isn't ideal.
No.
So maybe the better solution is to try and make some improvements in the north, which of course, other than the Premiership season, the away fans went in the north part of the east anyway.
They did, and they had porter cabin toilets and everything. I mean, they did okay. They're not ideal, but you can get by with that.
Yeah, it's not what I would want to see as an away fan. And of course, we go into enough away games ourselves to know.
But they're not bringing many. What's the last games we got? We've got Fleetwood. Obviously, they're going to bring a lot. So are they going to go?
I think for Fleetwood, we are definitely putting them in the south part of the east, which will mean we will lose some down here. But what I'm talking about is moving forward for next season. We want to maximise. What we don't want to do is have a scenario where we're configuring the ground in a way that means that we can't get a capacity crowd if we ever want one. So this is one of the matters we discussed last week at the forum. And the board have taken all the input in. We haven't made any final decisions for next year yet. But we're going to have to do it soon because the season tickets to sell. But I personally would like to see us keep the south part of the east as an overflow stand for us, and maybe offer some community and concessions in there that allow us to offer a more flexible price option than maybe in the other stands. I don't know, but that's a discussion to be had yet.
One of the things that I always talk to Tim about, because we were a little bit sad, weren't we? Going back a few years, we used to sit outside with our sandwiches, really, watching all the stands being built, didn't we? We watched the whole thing, and then we watched the south stand, and then we were watching all the east stand being built. But I've always thought about that east stand. We saw. Originally, the plan of it was to build it as a sort of because it is a permanent structure behind it. We've seen it all pile driven in. We watched it. We watched it, all those piles going in. So it has to be converted into that permanent stand. And I think when new owners come in, if they have, if we do that Dubai consortium or something like that in, I don't know, so many millions, that stand wants to be, because behind that stand it's all on stanchions, and you don't make any money out of that. And as we know, everything, all the money's made from behind the stand, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, you put things in behind there, like there's, you know, you can put like a nightclub in there. It's that big. You could have a bowling alley in there. You could have whatever, but until you get those stanchions out and those seats put in properly.
Yeah. And there's an access issue as well in that, obviously, onto Henry Street. I don't know whether I don't know. To be honest, I've not seen any plans as to whether that can be done without buying the rest of the properties on Henry Street.
Yeah, it could be a massive job, because it was always rumoured Owen owned half of Henry Street.
He may do, but that might not be. We might not wanting to give him money. I don't know.
No, I know that's a bit of an issue, but it does really need properly doing.
Yeah, no, but the ground needs finishing off, and it deserves to be finished off.
Because it's close to. I went to well, you were there, weren't you, at Accrington Stanley, and they basically had 7 rows of seats, didn't they? And on their 2 stands, there were 7 or 8 rows back.
Yes.
And then when I came to clean the seats, and I really looked round, you know, I looked at it after going to Accrington Stanley, and I thought, we're in a different world to Accrington Stanley. This could easily, you know, well, it's been a Premier League ground, and it could easily go back being a Premier League ground, even if we got there. And it's got so much potential.
But even what we've got needs some TLC. You know, obviously when we went in the Premiership, one of the things that the club did do was sort out the rust. But obviously that's coming back. You can see it outside with the vents and the screws where there's rust horrible. Coming down,
and all the dripping.
And now we're starting to settle down and bed in and deal with the urgent matters. You know, hopefully we can start looking at things like that and looking at the cosmetics and making the place. It was great actually when we had that clean-up week on I think it was on the Friday, that I'll confess I can't remember who it was now, but one of the local horticultural schools or whatever came in and put a lot of planting in. You know,
yes, they did.
Out by the west and out by the south.
Yeah,
and it's just nice that those little finishing touches.
Yeah, beautiful.
That just means
beautiful.
You know, I'd like to see Jimmy's. The plinth around Jimmy's statue sorted properly, with something that looks a lot more upmarked, you know, higher class than just the paving slabs we've got at the moment. Because there used to be like a bit of a garden there, if you remember. But because it wasn't tended properly, they ended up taking it up. Yeah. So we need to look for a solution there, and it's just a little about going around the ground and ticking. You know, if we can start ticking jobs off every week. So that every time people come back, they see something better.
Well, we're feeling it better already. Honestly, you know, even the website. You know, they posted a picture, and they're actually proud that the players are like training in front of a big flag that says Blackpool are back, and you just think, we're together. We are together, and I know, you know, it's down to you guys and BST and everything else.
It's been a massive team effort. I mean, we can't underestimate the role that the Valerie Bellicon case has played in it all. Because without that, the reality is that Owen Oyston, being as stubborn as he is, would probably still sat in that penthouse upstairs,
and we'd just be seeing 2,000 crowds.
But equally, you know, we saw from when we're in court, and we saw that it was a bit. Touch and go as to what the judge was going to do. He took into account the Not a Penny More stance in deciding that it was appropriate to put a receiver in here. Yeah. And it's been very, very refreshing for me, for somebody who's always been very keen on fan engagement. I've been to, as some people know, I've been to Germany a bit during the boycott, and it's been good to like pick up a few bits and pieces over there about how they do it. Yeah. And then hopefully we can take some of the best bits they do over there and the best bits of the English game and create something that's special here. That's what we want to do. I've said it before, but a person asked me not that long ago, you know, when would you see job done? And I said it'd be when away fans come to our ground and say, I wish our club was run like this.
I wish this was our ground.
Yeah, I wish you know, I supported a team that did this for the match day experience. Yeah.
And I think we've earned it. Tim, I think we've earned that right to that. I think you're right about the judge as well. I think our stance was a big thing in his judgment, because he could have just taken Windike Farm and you know, Owen could have paid it all off and still been director, but when he took all, obviously the club, the travel lodge, the training ground, it probably won't cover his debt. So we got him out, didn't we, on that?
Well, I mean,
and the judge knew it, didn't he?
You'd like to think the bit of the football fan in him, and the bit of him that saw how important it was to us, because every single day of that 16 days in the summer, it's easy enough to. But it's easy enough to turn up when you know the judgment's been given and we know the receivers like to be appointed. But there was those 16 days through the summer, and we had you know, a
Sleepless nights.
sizable presence every game.
Yeah.
Every game.
Thinking
But that's what it was like. It felt like going to an away match.
I know. Well, they had to keep silence in them, didn't they? Because they were anything about the oyster, they were all at them. Weren't they? So
to be fair,
they were like
there was a couple of times that happened, but for the most part, everybody was very respectful, and we'd learned, you know, because we'd had the trial run in Manchester beforehand. We had a little bit of I know, of course, when all fans were being sued as well. We had a bit of an idea of the decorum that's expected. So it did. I was very, very pleasantly surprised by how respectful everybody was.
Yeah.
But the barrister for Andrew Green for Valeri was like he was clearly loving playing to a crowd.
Yeah. So I guess
It was because normally it's a very I'm involved in it.
Sterile atmosphere.
It can be quite a sterile atmosphere.
Yeah.
And
All these fans
when you turn up there and everyone's got scarves on like this.
I know, they're all cheering every decision and all that, and booing him. Yeah, I know. I can imagine. Tim, thank you very much.
No problem at all.
This, to every Blackpool fan, we can't thank Tim Fielding enough. You know, we all, you know, really respect you, and we know you've done a fantastic job. I could talk to you, Tim, for like the next all day, but I can't get it all on YouTube. So but thank you very much for your time.
Listen,
and,
let's just hope
we're all behind you.
The last few games, let's hope, you know, we see improvements on the pitch, that we're still at least in Division 1 next year, and that we, you know, and people buy into what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
You know, how long we're going to be here, none of us know. I'm going to try and make the most of it while we're here to get as many of the things that we need put right.
How old's your son?
My youngest is 15.
Well, Sebby's 14, and I'll tell you what, I've loved it, because when I was coming with him before, he was only like 9 and 8 and stuff. And when we used to go, he used to ask me all about Bloomfield Bear. So he'd be saying, like, you know, where does he live and where's his house and how does he tie his shoes and all this sort of stuff. So I went with him like that. And I was with him on Saturday, and he's going, I can't believe he didn't pass it out there. And he said, finally they brought that Nia Kirby on and he's put a pass through when we've been hitting it long all the time. And I'm thinking, he's not asking about Bloomfield Bear anymore. He's a football fan, you know. And I was like, oh my God, we've missed all that, haven't we? It's been so sad.
It's great, and then hopefully, you know, all those dads and lads and mums and daughters and
dads and daughters,
whatever. Yeah, it's great. I mean, there's a young girl sat in front of me on Saturday, and she said to Mum, we're going to get an equaliser in the last minute, and I thought, well, you're being a bit optimistic.
Yeah.
So anyway, when we scored, I went back before, I said, you're right, weren't you? And she was like dead chuffed with herself, having predicted it.
It's just magic.
And it's just brilliant.
It's magic to be back. It's magic to be back. We're all glad to be back. I'm going to let him go because he's got a really important meeting, and I'm keeping here for coffee. Tim, thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
From all the Blackpool fans, thank you very much. So that was an amazing meeting today with Tim Fielding. I can't wait for you all to see this video. Tim was just an absolute star. And I think we're so lucky to have somebody like him in with the directors. It's absolutely fantastic. This is Lee Charles once again signing off. Hope you really enjoyed this video. Till the next one. See you later.